What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel, and thanks for joining me for the end of the year. This is it. This is the end of 2023. It's a little overwhelming. We've had a lot of new streaming tech come through the studio this year. Most of it has been plugged into this PC at my own personal streaming desk at some point. That's a lot of tested tech, a lot of tested gear. So it's fun to see which pieces stayed, which ones are still on my desk, which ones got replaced, which ones have still been here. Like, one piece has been here for over 5 years. One of these is not released yet. Can you guess which one it is? Before we get started on the desk, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Owned.tv, and you know them. You know who they are, your one-stop shop for all your stream, overlay, and alert needs. After this video, check out the link in the description below and just browse their massive selection of stream designs and overlays and alerts and all the stuff that they have down there. See if you don't find something that sparks some joy, Marie Kondo, that you want on your stream. They've got these whole unique design themes, like kawaii cats is just, well, it's just adorable. So if you find something you like, use the link down below or use code SENPAI at checkout to get 50% off. Enjoy. I spent a lot of time at this desk. I spent a lot of time working on this desk, making it easy to accomplish what I'm trying to do at the desk and making it enjoyable to sit at and game at and stream at. I want to start at the middle, like the core items of any gaming and streaming setup, and then expand out to some of the more unique choices. That's probably the best way to put it. So I'll start at the center, the newest item at the desk, the SteelSeries Aerox 5 wireless mouse. I've been using my Logitech G502 Lightspeed for 3 years now, and it just started giving me problems. Just the wireless started giving me problems. And I'm not gonna be upset about that. I feel like 3 years is plenty for a wireless mouse. Not the battery. The battery's fine. The thing lasts days. But for some reason, it got stuttery. And I figure, what a perfect opportunity to try something new. So I've been playing for about a week or two with the SteelSeries Aerox 5, and I gotta say, at first glance, there are things I like and things I don't like, but I'm not swapping it out anytime soon. I'm really enjoying this mouse. First of all, the thing is crazy light. I actually had to turn down the DPI a little bit because my loss in weight meant I was moving the cursor around too fast. The button layout is okay, although I prefer the Logitech G502 buttons a little bit more. I think I need to try the G502X sometime this year. But it's got the classic 2 buttons on the side, plus a front button that I think is a little bit too far forward. I have a hard time reaching it compared to the G502. And then it's got this little rocker switch that goes up and down above the 2 buttons that I do like, but I don't like the implementation. It's a little bit too close to the 2 buttons, so it makes those too hard to press. And then the up feels nice, but the down you have to put quite a bit of pressure onto. And considering I lost a couple of buttons from the G502, things like being able to push the scroll wheel left and right, or those 2 DPI buttons to the left of the clicker, this is kind of the button that replaces those. So as someone who likes a few more buttons than the typical 2 button side buttons, I miss my G502, but I don't miss Logitech G Hub. That's my biggest complaint about Logitech stuff, is their software. It makes me crazy. I'm already enjoying SteelSeries Engine a lot more. So that give and take experience of this Switch is definitely there. I'll keep you updated as I use it a little bit longer. Above the mouse, we got the stream controls with the Stream Deck XL, and also just regular gaming audio controls with the Stream Deck Plus. That Stream Deck XL has 32 buttons, and I think I use maybe a third of them. And realistically, I only use like 5 on any given day. I turn on and off cameras and lights, and I switch scenes in OBS. And let's be real, like, that's all you do with yours too, right? Right? But the Stream Deck Plus is one of my favorite devices to come from Elgato. When I'm in Blender, I use the dials for fine-tuned controls. When I'm gaming, I use them for controlling my teammate volume versus my game volume. When I'm streaming, I can use the buttons above it to mute and unmute certain microphones, whether I want to use my dynamic or my shotgun microphone, which we'll get into in a second. Those 2 devices are perfect with the versatility of the Stream Deck Plus and just the mass amount of buttons of the XL. I don't think I'm going to be upgrading that anytime soon. And I say that, and then they're going to come out with something creative that I didn't know I needed. And that's how it always goes with Elgato, right? But speaking of audio controls, let's go to the microphone. I'm still using the Beacon mic that I got almost 2 years ago, and I love this microphone. I love the quality of the microphone, and I love the control over the plugins that came with it using the Beacon audio suite. I even like their audio controllers, the Beacon Mix and the Mix Create, but I didn't like how much clutter it added to my desk. It's not that they're massive devices, it's just that I had to use both to control my setup because I needed one to control my main audio channels like my system, my teammates, and my music, and I needed the other to mute and unmute all the different microphones that I had plugged in. And so I had those two things sitting next to a Stream Deck, and it was fine, but I'm a bit of a desk minimalist. So when Elgato came out with the Stream Deck Plus that not only had the 4 dials of the beacon stuff, but also 8 buttons, so I could basically combine the two things into one, I realized that I could combine the two entirely because Beacon has a really cool feature. The Beacon mic is one of the only mics out there that has a processor built into it. So the EQ, the compression, the noise gate, everything is done on the microphone. This means that not only do you get to hear your EQ and your noise gate in real time, so you don't have to hear your keyboard clicks and mouse clicks and stuff, but also I can save all of the EQ, the settings and everything onto the microphone and then still route it through the Wavelink software anyway. My effects don't have to be processed on the computer, and I can use the crazy audio suite that Beacon made. It turned into a best of both worlds situation, and I would honestly highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for the perfect audio setup. The Beacon mic is attached to the low profile Elgato mic arm, which I don't know if you know this, but they actually quietly released a version 2. It's got 3 new minor upgrades to it, including beefier magnets, a hand tightener on the middle elbow that's actually extra long, so it's easy to get it really tight, and an extra hole on the underside at the very end so you can be a little bit more discreet with getting your cables into the elbow. If you didn't know that, now you do. I didn't until TwitchCon when I complained about the weak magnets to Steggy from Elgato, and he's like, oh, you know we fixed that, right? And now I do. Let's go to the monitors. I feel like neither of these are like anything special according to today's standards. I've got my main gaming monitor on the left, which is the Asus TUF 28-inch 4K 144 Hz with their HDMI 2.1 in it. I actually replaced my older ROG monitor, which was one of the original 4K 144 Hz monitors. That thing was great, but it was beefy, it had a super loud fan, and had no HDMI 2.1. So I couldn't really use it on the new capture card tests and had to replace it with this guy, and it's surprisingly better. And like half the price. It's crazy how much this has gone down over the last 3 years. And the right monitor is my streaming monitor. It's an LG 1440p, only 60 Hertz because I don't need more than 60 Hertz to show OBS. And it's where I put things like my Wavelink mixer, my chat, my OBS, all the stuff that I need for streaming when I'm gaming full screen. The ultra wide for productivity is just, like, shout out to you ultra wide people watching this. Now, I've wanted to go single monitor for a while, but one of the main reasons I can't sounds really dumb. I like being able to put my camera between my monitors right at the center of my room. I love the symmetrical shot of the camera being right in front of me between the two screens. It makes my live streams feel less like a typical Twitch stream and more like a YouTube video, like, well, it looks more like this. And this camera, by the way, is super overkill. I do not recommend any of you go out and get this rig, but it's my Sony a7S III with a G Master 14mm f1.8 lens on it. I did not buy this to be my streaming camera, but when I switched over to Lumix about 6 months ago, I was like, well, we got it. Might as well have the world's greatest streaming camera. And it is. And someone in chat says it almost every stream. And I'm gonna be honest, it doesn't feel good. It feels irresponsible. But this is not a therapy session, so let's move to the next thing. Oh, actually, one last thing on that. I have the dummy battery inside my a7S III plugged into a Hue Smart outlet, so I can turn it on and off from my Stream Deck. So if you're looking for a hack for doing that, now you know. A couple people in my community got upset with me when I said that, saying it's gonna kill the camera, and so I reached out to Sony support, and they were like, no, you're fine. So I'm gonna take their word for it. Let's go above the camera to my second microphone, my just chatting microphone. See, when I'm sitting and just chatting, talking to the camera, the goal for me is to feel like you're in the room with me, and having that, like, the microphone like this, it's got that podcast feel. It doesn't feel natural. So having a shotgun microphone about a foot and a half away from me instead gives a little bit more of a roomy sound. It feels more natural. It sounds more like this YouTube video, for example. And that microphone is the Rode NTG4 Plus, which is a great microphone. It used to be my YouTube microphone, and then as we upgraded that became the streaming microphone. Next to the microphone, we've got my light, which is the Amaran P60C. It's basically a beefier, professional, and RGB version of the Elgato key light. I mean, I love Amaran and Aperture stuff, but it's basically, if you were to take the Elgato key light, make it a little bit larger so you get a little bit more diffusion. You can add a grid to it so it's a little bit more directional. And then because it's also plugged into a Philips Hue Smart outlet, I can turn it off and on with my Stream Deck just like an Elgato light. If you've got an Elgato key light, is it worth upgrading? No, but if you're a photographer or videographer and you have one of these around, it works really, really well. All right, headphones. This piece of gear has yet to be replaced. It's the oldest piece of gear at my desk. I bought it less than a month after the channel actually started making money. Like, this piece of gear is just as old as my career on this channel. And it's the SteelSeries Arctis Pro Wireless. The thing just has features that no other headset has, and now that I've become accustomed to them, I can't give them up. For example, and this is probably the big one, it comes with 2 batteries that you can swap out when one dies, and the base station acts as a battery charger. So if you forget to charge your headphones and they die in the middle of a game, you don't have to say, oh well, guess I'm going wired. You just swap the battery, start charging the dead one, throw the new one in, and you're good to go. That's huge. How has no one else done that? It also can do 2.4 gigahertz and Bluetooth simultaneously, so while I'm gaming, I can be connected to my phone with a baby monitor app. That's huge. Let's move on over to the second camera that I use while I'm showing my screen on stream. This is the opposite of my Just Chatting camera. It's not only sideways, I mounted the camera vertical, but it's also got a much more narrowed lens on it and a much more shallow depth of field. That way, when the little box is really just highlighting me, I pop a lot more. And this is the Canon EOS RP, which is a sub $1,000 full frame camera. The thing is like no frills, has very few features, but it's full frame, shoots 1080-60, and you can put modern RF lenses on it, so it looks great. I don't know if I would use it nowadays for like filmmaking on YouTube. It's missing too much, but for like a second stream camera, it's phenomenal. Even like a first stream camera, it's phenomenal. And I saw you can get them used for like 600 bucks. A full frame modern camera for 600 bucks. It's nuts. If we zoom out a little bit more, we've got my audio monitors that I just added to this setup a couple months, maybe a couple weeks ago. These are the Mackie 8-inch, the HR824 Mark IIs. And these things are just bonkers. They sound so good and they sound so loud. I've been working with Mackie a lot more lately, and we recently hooked up 3 different desks with Mackie speakers, and I have no regrets. I tried gaming with these the other day, and that was an experience. If you've never gamed with like studio speakers, you should. You should. Just do it once. It's not as great with directionality, so if you're playing like a battle royale, it's not ideal. But man, is it fun. And of course, everything at this desk is plugged into my monster of a PC, Hydra, which we named after the fact that we got 2 Camlink Pro capture cards, and so we can have up to 8 cameras in there. And just like all the cables going out to different cameras reminded me of the 9-headed Hydra. I know it's only 8 heads, but 9-headed Hydra from Greek mythology. That PC's got a liquid-cooled RTX 3090 in it, as well as an AMD 5950X, both on 2 separate loops. That took a long time to build, but I'm so proud of that thing. It's so beautiful. I just want to look at it all day. It needs more light in it though. It's too dark in there. Next to the PC, we've got my main audio mixer and interface, which is the Mackie DLZ Creator. This thing kind of brings everything together. It's like an audio hub for me. So the shotgun microphone is plugged into it. My PC is plugged into it. The giant Mackie speakers are plugged into it. And then I can use the Stream Deck to switch back and forth between the speakers and my headphones. My guitar rig, which is a digital box. It's this guy. Right there. It's the Fractal Audio Axe-FX 3 is plugged into it. So that way I can send my guitar either into my PC for recording. I can send it out to my monitors. These giant Mackie monitors are basically my guitar speakers. And it also has Bluetooth and NDI. So if I'm editing anything on any other computer in the entire house, I can just send the audio straight to it and send it out of these massive speakers so I can hear it for reference. Definitely a powerhouse machine. And last time I saw on Amazon, it was like a third off because of overstock. So I'll link to everything in here down below, by the way. Check to see if that's still on crazy sale. And maybe this has just saved you a lot of money. You're welcome. Last 2 cherries on top of this setup is the TV over here, which is a 4K 120 hertz gaming TV, which is mostly just used for watching anime and playing lo-fi while I'm editing, which, by the way, the best sound bar out there, I don't care what you say, is 2 HomePods connected to an Apple TV. It just is. Every soundbar I've used ever has had connectivity problems where it just doesn't work one day, and it's never happened with the HomePods. So shout out to Apple for that. And then this other one is the room camera, the corner camera, if I may. This is a 10+ year old camera, the original Sony A7S. It's just on all the time with an ultra wide lens that I use for moments when I leave the room or at the start of my stream when I feel like getting a little bit of a fun shot of the space. Also, when I use my main sitting down camera and the ultra wide stretches out my TV to make it look like it's 120 inches, I can be like, oh no, just look at it from this camera. It's actually, it's 75 inches. It's a normal TV. But that's the entire streaming setup. What are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on mice or keyboards? Oh, I didn't talk about my keyboard. Yeah, I think I didn't write it on my list because I'm actually planning on replacing that soon. It's the Logitech 10 keyless wireless keyboard, and the wireless on that also stopped working. I don't know what's going on with Logitech wireless stuff, but they both stopped working within the last 2 months. But the keyboard's only like a year and a half old, so I don't know what happened there. But I think this is the year I get a real mechanical keyboard. I'm thinking of picking one up from Yeeboards, Christopher Yee's stuff. Those things are beautiful. Anyway, let me know if you have any thoughts on my gear. Did you catch which one hasn't been released yet? Let me know if you noticed it. I talked about it. It's one of the things I talked about in this video. If you don't have any thoughts to comment, just leave an emoji, maybe your favorite emoji in the comments down below, you know, for engagement. And like and subscribe while you're down there. Thank you for hanging out with me all this time. I think I got one more video coming out in 2023. But other than that, I'll see you in 2024. Happy streaming.